All right, let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. And if you are not sitting cross-legged, have your legs down about hips width apart. And I just say that because it's really tempting just to cross your legs if you just kind of have the legs down. It takes a bit of discipline. I just always cross my legs over, but it's not great for the spine. So feel the sensation of the feet on the floor. So you can imagine the feet releasing into the floor and the weight of the legs kind of releasing into the feet, in the ankles. Feel the back of your back of your hamstrings on the chair, and then your sits bones and your pelvis releasing into the chair. Have your hands just sitting in your lap with a right hand nestled in the left, and align your shoulders with your hips and your ears with your shoulders. So, of course, if you're sitting cross-legged, you're going to feel the weight of your legs just on your feet. And then go to the crown of the head and release any tension there. So relax your scalp and your forehead, eyebrows, the eyeballs, eyelashes, the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, the back of the tongue, back of the head, and just put a little bit of length in the back of the neck. So it's very tempting for us to kind of slump down like this when we're meditating. Just try and stay aligned. Some length in the back of the neck will mean your chin will be down a little bit. Not too far down, but you want to avoid your chin being up here because it creates constriction in the back of the neck. And that in turn creates agitation in the mind. So keep your neck nice and long. Allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And just be aware of the sensations of the breath as you inhale and exhale. The nostrils, the chest cavity, and the belly. So you can focus on one of those three places as you're meditating if you wish. And then just be aware of any potential distractions in your environment. So it could be sound, could be smells, it could be distractions of notifications coming across your screen. Just allowing it all to be there. And then be aware of what's in your mind tonight or today if you're in Australia. Just allowing those thoughts to rise up, to abide. And then try not to kind of go along and get caught up in the emotion of the story, of a story that you might have going on in your mind. And just imagine you are able to be just very objective about what's in there. So just look at it, and rather than getting caught up in the emotion of what the thoughts do, you can just say to yourself, oh, that's a planning. That's planning. Those thoughts are about planning. Those thoughts are about, oh, here I am ruminating a bit. Maybe I could wind that back. So it does take quite a bit of discipline because often we sort of space out and we end up in a conversation with ourselves that may or may not be true. And then bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, your strangers, the ones we don't like so much. And remembering, due to impermanence, these relationships are interchangeable and they're all equal, these people. No matter how you feel about anyone at any particular time, they haven't changed. It's just your view of them has changed. And they all are the same as you and me in that they want to be happy, they don't want to suffer, and they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change it by creating positivity instead. And we start with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And you can think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so, having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience. We know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So we come to the power of reliance. This is who we turn to. We turn to the Buddha, Vajrasattva, who we see as a doctor, who has methods that we can use to purify. So more like a doctor than a higher power is what we want to think. So we're not asking Buddha to forgive us. We're not asking him to take all this stuff away. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his methods. So we're doing this ourselves. So Vajrasattva, imagine above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart. The left underneath the right, closest to the heart. And the left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, and this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. And then we have this little section on developing compassion. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, so the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who've harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for all these beings and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to this power of remedy, and this is the actual medicine doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasitame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything other than benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and enters your crown quite forcefully and fills your entire body. Except this time forces up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So you imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya, Vajrasattva Dina Patita, Jida Meboa, Situkaya Meboa, Sipokaya Meboa, Anarakta Meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Ambhadra Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboal Sawasidi Mempiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Ambhadra Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Ambhadra Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So, this happens, the light coming and hitting your heart happens as instantaneously as you flicking on a switch in a dark room. So you imagine the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, and then instantly all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment and neediness and bitterness and anger and depression and grudges and resentment and jealousy, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left. Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Situkaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboal Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. Again, be really delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others, with our body and our speech, are now completely purified. And think that there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And now is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of our body, speech, and mind. So this time imagine Vajrasattva sending light and nectar. So the nectar comes and pushes out all the negativities, pushes down all the negativities of the body, and then the light, the nectar flows up, pushing out all the negativity of the speech, and then the light comes and completely blasts all of the delusions. And this is, excuse me, this is happening all at the same time. And imagine also you're also reciting the mantra at the same time, and this eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Sitokaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mata Vajrabawa Maha Samaya Sattva Ah Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samayam Anupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboal Sitokaya Meboal Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Vajrasattva samaya manubalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kamasita me Sitam shriyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mata vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe. So now feel you are completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now the power of resolve. And this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. And this step is really crucial because we need to decide that we want to refrain from harming before anything actually changes or anything even happens. So without making a decision, without having an aspiration, we're just going to keep doing the same old things over and over again, have the same old habit patterns. So having a determination, having some kind of a direction or a plan becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in kind of new and more positive directions. So, think of something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. Could be your speech, could be your inner thoughts. Maybe you ruminate a lot. Maybe you give yourself a hard time. So think about something you'd like to work on, maybe just on and off for the next, between now and Tuesday. And then think Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next Rinpoche recommends to meditate on emptiness. So in emptiness, there is no I, creating negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So whatever or however you understand this idea of emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. And this way we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So let's do our chanting the names of Manjushri. Abiding objects free through all perceptions, with consciousness as object, with cessation, with every being the object of his mind, with knowledge, that's the mind of all the Buddhas, residing in the mind of every being, having become their mind's equality, and satisfying the mind of every being, he is, for every being, great inner joy. Confusion-free regarding points of doctrine, completely free from error in all its forms, his thinking free from doubt, his object threefold, his object all three properties by nature. All right, everyone, let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long. I heard His Holiness won a Grammy, which is pretty cool, for his audiobook, which is really cool. So now, of course, I want to go find it and buy it. Anyway. And then what are we doing now? Oh, a strong wish for for Lama Zopa Rinpoche to return, unmistaken reincarnation, and then for all of your own individual teachers. All right, everybody. Lots of love. Good night. Have a happy afternoon, you Aussies, and I will see some of you tomorrow morning. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Shayla. Thanks for hosting. Okay, bye.